Ladies and gentlemen, yes, this is your favorite show, Sports Unfolded, with your favorite hosts, Eric and Ron.
Hey! Welcome to the best sports podcast on the planet, Sports Unfolded, where we cover all of the top stories that just happened this past week. I am your host, Eric. My main man right over there, Ron. How are you tonight?
I am fired up, and I am going to lose a lot of Christmas cards today, Eric.
Oh, it's that kind of night tonight.
It's that kind of night.
I love it. I love it. So if you haven't watched us before, please join the chat. So we are live. You have an opportunity to join the chat live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or Twitter. And send your comments in if you have an opinion on what we're talking about, or if there's something you may want to talk about as well. You can do that. Do you want to thank all of the other areas that have broadcast Sports Unfolded now? WBOB in Rhode Island and WDJY in Dallas, Georgia. Thank you for your support, as well as SEC-TV, Public Access Channel 12 in Southeast Connecticut. Thank you for airing us every Tuesday night. So, Ron, are you ready? You want to talk about something else? You cook any good meals? You want to talk about? No. So, let's start off with this leadoff story. And the great part, it is about our own New England Patriots. The New England Patriots have fired head coach Gerard Mayo. Kind of a two-part question. First of all, do you think it was warranted by the team? Was it the right decision? And then the follow-up question would be, what's the team's next move?
Okay, this is like a loaded question. Okay. First of all, they made the mistake of hiring him in the first place. Okay.
Agreed.
Now, we had said before he even took the seat that he was in over his head. And I remember that day, we stressed that this would be a problem, and it was. Now, with that being said, he clearly was not ready. And I think you need to be an assistant before you can become a head coach. And I know he was like, linebackers coach? Is that what he was?
Yeah, there was like a lot of different.
Right.
New England, who knows? They didn't have time.
He wasn't an assistant.
No.
He was an assistant to the assistant to the assistant. That's about what he was. So he wasn't ready. And we all knew that as New England fans, but we held on to hope, right?
You gotta believe, man. You have to believe.
Yeah, you gotta believe. And then when it seemed like, we could get the first round pick out of this, the first pick, right? And it was in the bag. Why do you try to win the game? Like, I understand the players are going to play, right? They're going to play. But you can't draw up plans to lose this kind of a game.
Well, absolutely.
Just by running the ball up the middle, and that's all you do.
Go for it on a fourth down instead of kicking a field goal or punting. Yeah, I mean, there were opportunities to try to lose that game or could have lost that game. But I go back to this first part of it, Ron. I don't blame Gerard Mayo so much as I blame ownership. So the Crafts,
absolutely.
And I blame Elliott Wolf. Again, you give
absolutely
you give a coach, regardless of his experience, literally zero talent.
Right.
Again, the Drake May situation where I felt Gerard Mayo may have wanted to start him from day one, and there were people above him that said you absolutely cannot do that. The Crafts ran the team this year. The Crafts made all the decisions, from player personnel to players you were going to be able to play in a game. And it came back to bite him, because realistically, the scapegoat in all of this was Gerard Mayo. Like, oh, well, I guess we put him in a bad situation. No, you did put him in a bad situation. And at the end of the day, you sit back and you realize, why do you think he won the first week or the last week of the season? Because to him, why not? Like, talk about sticking it to him at the end and saying, and we saw this before. I'm trying to remember who the coach was before, and he got fired out. He knew he was getting fired.
Yeah.
Gerard Mayo knew it was coming, and in his mind, you know what? Why not go out to win? And then you got to sit back and you got to look at some of these the players that were playing in that game. That's tape for them. That's opportunities for them to possibly get traded, picked up. And so they have to play hard. Yeah. Imagine a guy taking a dive or not throwing, right? Let's not throw,
And let's not forget the fact that Buffalo was trying to lose. And you can't tell me that they weren't trying, because they didn't want the Patriots to get the number 1 pick. You think they had a chance for a 53-yard field goal, and he didn't even do it. He punted it away.
Yeah. Oh, he definitely wasn't going to give New England the number 1 pick. And again, I don't think Gerard Mayo was playing to lose or coaching to lose. So again, if you give him talent, and I'm not, Danny, thanks for joining. I will say, I don't think he's as bad as what was produced this season from a coaching standpoint. Do I think he's a great coach? No, you're right. Experience, needs some time, probably should have an assistant job. But again, I don't think many coaches could have won with this talent. If Bill Belichick was still coaching this team, I truly feel maybe 6 wins. Maybe you get a couple of the things that Gerard made mistakes in, Belichick cleans up, but still not enough to win 9-10 games, be a playoff team or a contender. So
I'd be skeptical for 6, to be honest with you.
So it's tough to say the right move. It's probably the right decision based on the fact that you need to change everything that you've done.
Yeah.
So that's where the second part of this question comes in, Ron.
And I think I think Bob Kraft knows he screwed up, and he did not put the Patriots in a good situation. I think he totally knows that. And look, they have to make the right decisions now. You can't have the scouting the way it is. So that is Elliot
Wolf.
Elliot Wolf. So that's all on him. This roster is basically his fault. He's the guy that's supposed to be getting the talent.
But if you even remember,
no clue.
Ron, if you remember that whole thing, he wasn't named till after the draft.
Yeah.
So who drafted these players? We don't know if it was Elliot Wolf, because he wasn't officially announced until afterward. It's almost like, oh, by the way, here's the job. I guess we'll give it to you.
Right.
Draft was in April. I don't think they really announced it till June or July that he was going to be the player personnel.
They were flying blind, to be honest with you. And if I know anything about sports, I got a feeling that I could picture Kraft in a room with freaking Jerry Jones.
Right. That's
having
what it
drinks
like.
and running the draft.
Yeah.
And running the draft from that.
Yeah.
And that's the results. The results are there's zero talent on this team. Yeah. And I mean that, like, look, they got lucky that Drake performed pretty well. He looks good. He doesn't look perfect by no means. He made mistakes but I can see how his arm is. I can see how a lot of his decisions are. And I like what I see. But let us not forget, I also liked what Mac Jones did in his first season, right? So it really means nothing until you put pieces into place. And you're not going to get anywhere without an offensive line. And they literally have no one on that offensive line that's good. No one. There's not a person in that line that is any good. And it's a shame. It's really a shame that this team has gotten this bad in this short of a time.
Danny, yes, our prayers are with you. It is such an unfortunate situation happening in that area of California. Wow, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's awful. I've been watching video of it all day. It is devastating. And you got to worry about that wind because there's really nothing they can do if that goes all in through Los Angeles. This could be a devastating fire.
Yeah. So yeah, our prayers and our thoughts are with you, Danny. Thanks for joining. Again, understanding that you know what you're going through is obviously a lot more serious than anything we're going to talk about tonight. Hopefully, we could take your mind off it for a few, just to kind of back to reality a little bit when it comes to the sports scene. But thanks for sharing that, Danny. So, Ron, I guess we get back to this Gerard Mayo thing. We both agree it's probably the right decision based on either him getting the short end of the stick or, hey, he just couldn't perform. What's the team's next move?
Well, you got to hire somebody that's competent, right? There's a couple of candidates out there. Obviously, the big one, what's his face? Is it not Porter, right?
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson.
Detroit. Vrabel has interviewed. Ben Johnson has interviewed. There was one other candidate I know they definitely interviewed already.
I'm wondering how available Brian Flores is, because that wouldn't be. I'd be somebody I'd be interested in.
He is a candidate. I don't think for New England, just based on kind of what happened here. But again, did I win anything? You got to stay tuned for that, Danny. I will say that here's where I struggle, and I'm gonna blow your mind right now. I don't want Mike Vrabel. I think Vrabel is probably the best candidate out there, but I don't want Mike Vrabel because I started to think about this the other day, and I said to myself, what was Gerard Mayo? A yes man. He's Kraft's yes man. Kraft makes the decisions. Right? There's a bond, a relationship that Mike Vrabel has with the Krafts, which I feel that would be harder for him to push back on certain things like, hey, I don't want Elliott Wolf. Hey, I don't want to run this type of offense. Hey, this is who I want for my offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. I'd like to see, and this has been the talk, Ben Johnson from Detroit. Completely different than anything New England's had. Not influenced by Bill Belichick in the least. And then on top of it, he already said he wants his guy to run personnel. So the assistant GM in Detroit, and if we look at the talent they've been able to acquire in Detroit and how they've been able to build that team from an 0-16 team to now 14-3 and the number one seed in the NFC, I'd love that combination a lot more than I would like Vrabel with Elliott Wolf.
Well, the key is Elliott Wolf has to go or nothing's going to change.
And there's a talk that the Krafts want Wolf to stay, and Mayo probably wouldn't. Vrabel wouldn't fight that. That's a problem. Jerry Jones, John Gruden's name has been mentioned a few times now for a head coaching job. That's where I say it. To me, I like Vrabel. And I was thinking about it before, like he was Ohio State and Tennessee, so he hasn't been around the Patriot way, but he was a Patriot player who's in the Patriot Hall of Fame, who's very close to Robert Kraft.
He also changed his logo on Instagram to when he played for the Patriots.
So I to me feel like this is not a good thing. That would not make us any different than what we saw with Gerard Mayo. You're going to have the same kind of leadership from the top. A yes man. Okay. You don't want Drake May to start week 1.
I don't know if he'd be a yes man. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's all in.
He
It's
went
all
on
in. Let's see
bye
what
week to
happens.
do the Hall of Fame when he was with Tennessee, and he got backlash from Tennessee. Like, you're a Tennessee Titan. Yeah, I mean, if it was the offseason, I understood it. It was during a bye week. He came to New England to do his Hall of Fame. And again, that's what I'm saying. There's too much of a relationship there with the Crafts that I don't feel like he's going to push back when needed. Ben Johnson doesn't know Robert Kraft. Ben Johnson doesn't know Bill Belichick. And if he does, it's not because he coached under him. He might have coached against him.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you just think about like, there's a lack of candidates out there. I think there's a lack of candidates because you always want somebody that has won something, right? But there's nobody that's won anything because it's been so dominated, between Kansas City and New England, for the past 3 decades, it seems. And there's just nobody that's won. It's just like the quarterbacks in the league. There's nobody that's won Super Bowls.
So one of the things too, I heard Vrabel, offensive coordinator, possibly Josh McDaniels. Who Josh McDaniels
That would
coached
be a
under?
benefit.
Well, who Josh McDaniels coach under? Bill Belichick.
I understand that.
You're never getting rid of that. If Bill Belichick and you want to just keep grabbing his coaches and his players, then why did we get rid of Bill Belichick? It doesn't make sense to me.
I get it. It's a double-edged sword, Eric. It's a double-edged sword.
I don't see how they benefit them based on, at least this time they're interviewing coaches.
That's the
last
thing.
last one they didn't do that. They were like, "Oh, we already have our guy," right? So, and then Aaron Glenn, who for Detroit, that defensive coach, said he didn't even want to interview with New England. Yeah,
well, maybe we could send a first-round pick to Kansas City and get Andy Reid.
Right. So, I don't want Andy Reid.
It wouldn't be the first time they did it.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. So again, it'll be interesting. But all right, great Patriot talk. But we're gonna move on, Ron. We're gonna talk some more NFL because this story came out this week, and Tyreek Hill a little disgruntled about not making the playoffs for the first time in his career, and kind of talking about maybe his future with the Miami Dolphins. Should the Dolphins consider moving on from wide receiver Tyreek Hill? Yeah. Notre Dame. Listen, great win yesterday.
Absolutely, they should They should get rid of him. I mean, he's obviously not happy. I mean, when a player calls you out for quitting, I mean, that's pretty bad, right? I mean, Waddle had to call him out, basically. Did you see the video?
I didn't see that. I heard what Tyreek said about wanting to leave or look somewhere else or go to another team. Really? Waddle called him out too? Yeah, so you already know this problem. And listen, wide receivers are divas to begin with. So if he's already making...
Eric, Tyreek was on the field, and he's just standing there like he, just lollygagging, and you hear Waddle asking, "Hey, Cheetah, you done? Are you done?" Asking if he quit. Like, really? Really?
I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a toxic situation. 81 receptions this year, lowest since 2019. So in 5 years, this is his lowest. His comments, and then again, if you're going to do it, I'd move on from him now. Ron, you talk about his value is still kind of high because he's still that, deep threat, that speedster that nobody can, you can put in an offense.
Yeah.
And he's getting some injuries now. The last couple of years, he's had some injuries. I'd hate to see you hold on to him. Not that I'm a Dolphin fan, so hold on to him if you want. But obviously, there's injury concerns as well. So to move on from him at this point might be the best option for the Miami Dolphins and Tua, for that matter.
They have a lot of problems right now down there. And it might not be as glaring as they think because, look, you have a quarterback that's very susceptible to concussions now. I don't think that this team is going to stay viable.
Yeah, it kind of fell apart already. I think you already like the expectation was them and Buffalo were going to be fighting for this division, and
remember the hype about their coach. They got rid of Flores to get this guy, and what's changed? What's changed? Nothing.
it's the same thing. And it's listen, it comes from the top. Flores got fired because Flores didn't want to take a dive. At the end of the day, the owner comes to you and says, throw some games and try to get a high draft pick. And he did the Mayo route. He's like, I'm going to win. I'm in this business to win. It came back to bite him because you heard some other stories. But realistically, I mean, ownership. And again, when you get a guy in there that you feel is just going to be a yes man, it kind of helps. That's what these billionaires
It was all hyped up to be like this great next coming of, the greats, right?
Yeah. Short-lived.
Didn't happen that way.
Short-lived, but Tyreek Hill on the move. You heard it here first. All right, Ron, this is a big weekend. Starting tomorrow, we've got NFL playoff weekend.
Playoffs?
Wild card weekend. Kind of excited about that. Marcus Freeman. Yeah, no, listen, Notre Dame. I don't know if college to pros, Danny, is the best option. The John Gruden thing's very intriguing to me because all of a sudden his name's coming back. It's just a matter if your fan base would want that kind based on what happened in Vegas. That part of it's interesting because regardless of how long he's been out of it, you remember what happened. You remember the emails. You remember some of the things he said. Will people, not the teams, I'm sure there's teams that would be like, oh yeah, I could forgive that. Will people forgive that? That's where I see it's tough with John Gruden.
Not so sure about that.
Ron, we're going to talk about playoffs. We'll go through each game really quick. We're going to actually stay tuned at the end of the show. We're going to do our prediction segment on all 6 games, and you're going to see if you can beat us and possibly win a prize, Danny. So that's where you want to stay tuned to see how you do. But we'll start off with just quick nuggets, things you may want to see or looking forward to. We'll start off with the Chargers at the Texans, Ron.
I'm looking at strictly establishing that run. Can Dobbins and Edwards control the play? And I think this is going to be very consistent through all these games, is because some of these teams need to control the clock because they might not have that offensive juggernaut as their opponents do. And I think because of all the hype with Stroud last year, they're going to be looking to move the ball. Now, if the Chargers control the clock, they're not going to do much of anything. So
Danny,
I'm looking at a big run game for Los Angeles.
Yeah, save it for predictions, Danny. I will say, to me, this is why the Chargers hired Jim Harbaugh. Because it wasn't that they couldn't get to the playoffs, because they did. It's the fact that they couldn't perform when they got there. So let's see if this pays off for them. Even if it's one win, guess what? That's more than the previous regime was able to do. And then I will say this. The Texans normally have not performed well in the postseason. And Stroud was not the same Stroud as last year in his rookie season. So we saw some kinks in the armor, and I want to see if they are able to bounce back now, because this season's kind of been up and down for the Texans. And injury-wise, losing your best wide receiver. To me, the Texans are vulnerable here. And the Chargers, I'm going to say, show me the money. I'm doing a Jerry Maguire, but this is why we gave
That's
Jim
exactly
Harbaugh,
it.
right? Jim Harbaugh, here was all your money. Show me now that you can win when it counts most. So that's what I'm looking for in that game. Next game, Ron, Steelers at Ravens.
This is interesting because there's no Zay Flowers.
He is out.
That is a very big loss for this team because Pittsburgh's played them very well.
Yes.
And it's been close. That could be a thing that causes them to lose, to be honest with you, because you don't have that top guy making the catch, the run after the catch. All those yards are now gone. Who are you going to throw the ball to?
Yeah.
You know, you're going to become one-dimensional, and that spells trouble for Baltimore.
Yeah. Listen, you said, can Lamar perform in the postseason? Can Lamar perform in the postseason? Like we've heard it all the time. Like, hey, Lamar, right? Like, this is the year. This is the year. This
may not be the year.
Shut up, show up or shut up. Like, I don't know anymore. Like, it's great you make the postseason every year, but when are you going to actually win? Yeah, Derrick Henry is going to be a big factor now with Zay Flowers being out. I could see that. And then let me ask you this question, Ron. You know what else I'm looking for more in this game than anything else? Mike Tomlin, who all I hear about is, and I said it, he's a great coach. But he's a great coach in the regular season. Yes, it's great that you haven't had a losing season in your entire coaching career. You also don't have a very good postseason.
No.
At what point do the Steelers start to say, wow, wait a minute. Like, it's great.
Been one and done every year.
Hey, it's nice to go to the prom, but if you got nobody to dance with, it's not going to be very fun. After a while, you're like, yeah, that was a great dance, but you know what? I could have done a lot more afterwards.
Then it turns ugly like Carrie.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the bloodbath, and that's what I feel like could happen here. Because listen, the Steelers have had a bad December. They were tanking at the wrong time. But again, we still got to look at Lamar Jackson. Tell him the truth, Eric. All right. Thank you, Kenny, for joining. I like Tomlin. I think he's a great coach. I really do. But I also thought Peyton Manning's a great quarterback. But there was a thing called the regular season, and then there's a thing called the postseason.
Right.
Peyton Manning, the best regular season quarterback. I'd put him ahead of Brady. I would. But when it came to winning, right, and that's where Tomlin, this game to me, may signify the end of the Mike Tomlin era in Pittsburgh, because I think they're going to get to a point where they say, I don't think we can do this anymore. Brian Flores was there last year as a defensive coordinator. The job he's done in Minnesota, I wouldn't be surprised he gets a call right after the postseason ends for the Steelers and possibly becomes their next head coach.
Yeah, I like Brian Flores.
So just that's what I'm looking for. Ron, don't doubt, he says. All right, third game here. Broncos at Bills, Ron. What are you looking for in this game?
Oh boy, like they got their work cut out for them. Because they have to contend with Josh Allen. And that is not an easy thing to do because he can hurt you with his legs or his arm. And I don't know if Denver has the capability of keeping the ball as long as they need to keep the Bills' offense off the field.
Yeah, and I'll say this, Ron. Broncos really haven't won a game where the team was, over 500. One or two possibly. So they weren't dominating.
No.
Their schedule was easy. They won the games they should have won. That's great. Bo Nix is overperformed, which is great for Denver because now you may have something to build on. But at the end of the day, this has to be the moment where we either see Josh Allen elevate himself to a point. This game, I'm looking for him to solidify his MVP status and say, look, he's going to go in, and I know they say it's a regular season award, and they look at these games. if he can, if Josh Allen can show out,
Got to put a stamp on it.
right? It shows out in this game. There's a good shot he wins
Yeah.
the MVP. If they struggle and they win, but it doesn't look good, then it really depends on what Lamar Jackson does against the Steelers. But that's what I'm looking for. 3 more games to go, people. Let us know what you think as well. Packers at Eagles. This might be the best game of the weekend.
Well, there's questions on whether Love has a hurt hand.
So I heard this driving home. This is the Love Hurts game. Love hurts.
That's hilarious.
Right? That was pretty good.
Hilarious.
Love possibly injured. Yes, he got injured on the last game of the season.
So
Jalen Hurts, concussion protocol for the last 2 weeks, hasn't played. The key players there, but Saquon Barkley sits out, so he's well rested.
But Brown is injured as well.
AJ Brown. This is what I'm saying.
I believe he might not be playing.
But Philadelphia, best defense all year.
Yeah.
Best defense all year.
Yep.
And again, the Packers, believe it or not, Packers didn't win a single division game. So all the teams that mattered, they couldn't beat.
Yeah.
So again, it's that same scenario. They haven't beaten quality teams for the most part.
No, they're the best of the average teams.
Yeah. So this is going to be a test for both teams. And we have to look at this one factor. Nick Sirianni, head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. He loses this game, he loses his job. It's a done deal. He needs a do his players really want him there? And if they do, they're going to show up. If they don't, this could be a Packers win. But again, we will make our predictions at the end of the show. Ron, Commanders at Buccaneers. What are you looking for?
Well, I know in the last game of the season, Tampa Bay had a really slow start. Really slow. They almost blew it.
Yeah.
Right? They almost blew it.
Against the Saints.
But they did come back and they did win the game. So when it counted, they did what they were supposed to do. Now, I like everything about Tampa Bay to win, but
right, Jaden Daniels.
You gotta give Jaden Daniels credit. Like, he's been a beast.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels, to me, excellent. It was like, we kept saying, oh, maybe it was a fluke, right? But every big game that they needed to win down the stretch here, he's found ways to win. This is my question to you, Ron. You know what I'm looking for more than anything? Do you believe in Baker? Baker Mayfield still is that. I don't know why I can't get the Cleveland Baker Mayfield out of my head. And I see like a possibility of him.
I look at it this way,
back.
Eric. Cleveland is Cleveland. Nothing good happens there, right?
Yeah,
we went through this in that special, right?
Yeah.
It's just horrible. And they don't know what they're doing as a franchise, and it trickles down onto the field. So as soon as he gets out of there, it took him a year to get rid of that aura, that brown aura, and here he is now. He's playing meaningful football, and he's getting the job done. Not pretty all the time.
And that's what I'm saying.
He gets the job done.
You could see him making a mistake and costing his team. You could see him play well, though, too. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Baker's interesting. This game, the last game we're going to cover, Vikings at Rams. So this game's been moved. Danny had talked about that with the horrific fires there in LA area to Arizona. So I had a problem with this, Ron, is do the Rams really have home field advantage now? Right? It's a neutral site. So that kind of hurts them a little bit. And then the other question I had was, we saw a very bad Sam Darnold against the Detroit Lions. As good as he looked all season, and as well as Minnesota had played, they can't afford Sam Darnold to not
No.
be an elite quarterback in the postseason. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. The Rams have a good defense, but that home field advantage to me is null and void now because yes, they got that in the first round, which doesn't ultimately help them now that it's in Arizona.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't know. I just feel like maybe the Rams can rally around this, right? I mean, they got some veteran players on that offense. You're talking Stafford, Cooper Kupp, they got some players there. And I don't know.
And they've won. They know how to win.
Minnesota's a tough team.
Yeah, they know how to win too, right? They've won. It's been more recent than not. So,
I mean, I'd be concerned if I was Minnesota. Now that it's going to another place, they could rally around this and really embrace it and play out of their mind.
Yeah, and hopefully their fans travel well. So we'll see. Ron, great NFL talk. We want to appreciate all the comments on the side. If you are joining us live, please continue to join in with the chat
a bunch
box.
of you out there.
You guys are doing amazing. But it's time to move on, Ron, and we're going to start our starting five. Our starting five, we went with because it's episode 2, the most 2-pointers made in the NBA, and we did anyone who had over 1,000 2-pointers made in their career. So there's about 26 or so candidates that were eligible for this. I am going to tell you this right now, Ron.
This was the hardest one ever.
I didn't even research it. I just went with my gut on this one because I was going to sit back and all these guys have phenomenal numbers. Every guy's going to have all these numbers. And I said, you know what? I'm going with my gut. But I am first this week, Ron. So I'm going to start off with my honorable mentions, and I can already see your face.
That's not right. I can't hold it back anymore. This sucks.
I can see your face, and as soon as I say some of these names, you're going to start to push back on me already. But honorable mentions, Ron. So 1,000+ field goals, 2-pointers in their career. One of those players, honorable mention, Magic Johnson. Honorable mention, Kobe Bryant. Honorable mention, Shaquille O'Neal. And my last honorable mention, this one hurts, Larry Bird. Those are my honorable mentions. Those guys should be starting 5, and they're my honorable mentions.
Okay. Honorable mention, Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay, we agreed.
Honorable mention, Tim Duncan. This is tough. Honorable mention, Magic Johnson.
Okay, we agreed.
Now, mind you, I'm going in order on the way up.
Okay.
And to me, it's all the players that you would talk about who the best player ever is, right? These are all the best players. Number 7, Bill Russell.
Wow. I did not see that one coming. Okay.
That one was painful.
Yes.
But not as painful as the next one, Kobe Bryant. Number 6. He was the bubble.
Okay. So we're on to our starting 5. So I will start
I'm guessing you have Tim Duncan in your top 5. That's what I'm guessing.
Number 5 for me, Tim Duncan. And we talked about those 15 all defensive, the 5 titles. So I went Tim Duncan at number 5 for me.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I have the
Kenny's
guy
there
that
we
you
go,
have
Kenny. Disrespectful.
disrespectful. There we go. Wait, prepare for it, Kenny, because you're going to say it a lot. I have the guy that you had out in place of Tim Duncan, Larry Bird at number 5.
This starting 5 better be good. All right. So he has
So my
Bird at
number
5.
5 is Larry Bird.
So I let's do this because I don't
And-
think either one of us is right anyway, Ron. No offense. Everybody that's out there that's watching live, as we say this and we give you our starting 5, who's going to be closer? Is it my starting 5 or Ron's starting 5? I'm just curious because I don't think mine's right. I don't think yours is right.
I think I think the next 4 are all the same.
I don't think so.
I think they are.
No, because somebody on your honorable mention's still on my list. So at 4 for me, Ron.
Oh, Bill Russell, maybe?
The man in the middle right there, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, number 4 for me in my starting 5. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was the all-time points. I think he's second overall in 2-pointers made, right? Behind LeBron.
I just think you're wrong.
Okay, I'm just saying, let's hear it from the people out there, Ron. So Tim Duncan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
At least I have the numbers to back it all up.
You're at Larry Bird. This is a gut one. This was a gut one. Michael Jordan, Kevin Durant, Karl Malone, Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant. I don't know.
I don't have Kevin Durant, Karl Malone,
Durant was in there too.
Even in the top 10.
Yeah.
They are not there.
Okay. All right. Who do you have it for, Ron?
My number 4 is LaFlop. Very painful to say that.
I was just seeing what alternate universe I was in right now. Like, I expect something to happen. I didn't even put him in my starting 5.
We did read your comments there, Danny.
Yeah, no, listen, that's not a bad.
Well, that explains why you have him,
Yeah. I don't have LeBron.
I would still pick all the guys in my top 10 ahead of him if I was picking my team.
Yeah. That's what I said. I went gut here. This was what I'd want. So at
I wouldn't even have put him on the list.
At number 3, there's no right or wrong, buddy.
There's no right or wrong, Danny.
This is just an opinion. At number 3 for me, Wilt Chamberlain. I went Wilt. I mean, I love his numbers. What's he at? 20 averaging 20 rebounds. Like, the guy was just a machine. So I went Wilt Chamberlain at number 3.
I also have Wilt Chamberlain at number 3. 30 points per game, 22.9 boards, 4.4 assists. Like, his numbers are just fantastic. The one number I don't like, though, is that 2 championships.
Right? Yeah. Yep. Yeah. You could do everything.
13 All-Stars, 10 All-NBA, 1 assist title, 2 All-Defensive, 4 MVPs, 1 Finals MVP, 7 scoring titles, and 11 rebound titles. So he was second in scoring titles. So,
yeah, no, listen. Again, I don't know who's right or wrong here. Like I said, it's all out of whack. So at number 2, and this one hurt me because this is probably my favorite player of all time. And I didn't think I didn't think he was number 1. Michael Jordan at number 2 for me. Michael Jordan at number 2. Listen, by far one of the greatest athletes of all time. The little break in between. If he had won 8 straight titles.
So you have Bill Russell number 1.
I have Bill Russell at number 1, and it's all about those championships. It's all about the base. It's all about that base. About that base.
I have Kareem number 2 and Michael number 1. Right now, this is the most difficult starting five we've ever done. And I would imagine there can't be another one that tops this because we are talking about who the best player ever is, right? And to me, it is Jordan. 10 scoring titles. Nobody else is even sniffing that. Okay. Now, there are some numbers I was actually surprised he was really low on, and that is that effective field goal percentage.
Boy, you really
Right?
broke it down.
So,
Okay.
but yes, and that's the point I'm making, Eric. That is the point I'm making. You have to search to
Yeah.
find numbers that he stunk on, right?
That's why I said I started to look at it and I said, I'm just going to go with my gut on this one because all these guys have so many great numbers and it would have just taken forever to just sit back and go, okay, what do you place
Yes.
above everything else?
Right.
And I think
And
to
that's
your
the
point,
thing. Because I still feel like I like Magic and Bird better than LeBron. It's just a fact, right? It's not the numbers because I'm looking at the numbers, and the numbers always support LeBron because he's played for 20 freaking years, 22 actually. And he's going to be in
true.
another league until his grandchildren are there. So when you look at that, it's like he kind of is going to be in that top 10 no matter how you slice it because just the pure numbers, right?
Kenny thinks I was closest.
Of course he thinks that because he hates Jordan.
He's no, but he's a big man, and mine were more big man dominated. I only had
he
one
hates
guard.
Jordan because you put him number 2, so he likes yours better. That's just the facts. But Kenny, who has already proven that he doesn't know anything about basketball,
I probably wouldn't say that. That's our basketball guy.
Yes, I understand that, but
Check out our NBA rankings.
At the did you know?
Yeah. Check out our NBA rankings every week. Done by Kenny. Great job.
He does a great job with those. He does.
But he don't know basketball. No, listen.
He doesn't like Jordan because of the flu. He does. He swears
but
that he didn't have it.
I will say this.
It doesn't matter if he didn't have the flu because he still lit him up. He still lit him up.
It's more a matter of what you feel is more important. To your point, right? I looked at Larry.
Minor championships.
And you said Larry, and I looked at Tim, and I said, okay, well, the defensive that, Tim Duncan brought to me was very important. So again, I could see how it could go any way you really wanted to.
And I totally
our honorable mentions, realistically, Ron, could have been in a starting five. It's not. And that's why I say this was a tough one because
look, when I say the best player to ever play is Jordan, he is, and the numbers do back that up. Okay, and then to me, it's a jumbled mess because you have Kareem, you have Wilt, you have Bill Russell that are just legendary, right? Those three guys changed, a lot of things in the NBA. All right, Bill Russell with those 11 championships. I'm sorry, maybe he should be the GOAT because of those championships. I love championships. So, but it's hard to look at the numbers for Kareem and Wilt Chamberlain and say, well, he's better than those two because, look at the domination. But then you look at him head to head against Bill Russell, and he just dominated him.
So the problem I had
8 championships to 2 or something like
that.
The
reason why I didn't want to look at numbers, it's because of what you said about. Because of what you said for your number 4 player. Because no matter the way you look at it, LeBron James's numbers are going to be just about anybody's numbers be based on how long he played. And a lot of these guys didn't play 20 plus years.
And that's why I said what I said about Kobe. I'm upset that he's not in the top 5 because he should be, because LeBron's there just because of the sheer numbers.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised you went that route, but I like it.
I did, and I hate it. Now that I read it off, I hate it even more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So if I was to redo this,
scratch number 4, put.
I would still have Jordan. I would still have Kareem. I would still have Wilt, but Bird would be number 4. Kobe would be number 5.
Wow. I don't know. No love for Tim Duncan.
No,
The
Tim
best power
Duncan is
forwards
there.
to ever do it. All right, let's continue this NBA talk, though, Ron, because we've got to talk about this.
I'm just so aggravated. Freaking, I can't stomach LeBron James so much.
You put him
it
in your
just
list.
makes me- I know, and I hate myself for
I
doing it.
cannot believe you did it. You should. I stood my
should.
ground. I stood my ground. He's not even in my honorable mentions. He didn't even make it. All right, if we were doing top 10, then maybe he would have been number 10. I only had 9. All right. So, little talk here about this Bradley Beal situation in Phoenix. Do you think Bradley Beal will be traded, and can he help a team win?
I'm sorry, I'm just like off right now.
So
My
upset
mind
about-
is still
So
pissed.
upset about LeBron.
I'm still pissed.
I can't believe it, buddy.
All right,
And I'd love to hear from Kenny on this one, because I am really surprised.
He needs to get dealt. This team stinks.
Austin,
They
thanks for
stink
joining.
together. They absolutely stink together.
They don't play, though. Ron, how do you get a guy that you want? Hey, I want out. I want to trade. You're never playing. He's played 25 out of 35 games. The team's under 500 with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and you. They're 16 and 19. He's not very good.
5 games?
10
he's
games.
Played.
He's missed 10 games.
Whatever.
But he's also averaging 17.8 points per game, which is his lowest since 2015-16 season. So you're talking almost 9 years. He's not as good as he was. Bradley Beal 3-4 years ago, you could put him up there as one of the top 10 players in the league at the time. Now, I wouldn't want him. And the only team they're really talking about, Devin Booker, is overrated. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, he's good. Maybe overrated. That might be fair, Austin. Overrated, yeah. Right? Like, what has he won either? Devin Booker. I will say this. There's a lot of talk about Jimmy Butler and him swapping. I don't know. Does that help Phoenix? It definitely doesn't help Miami.
Jimmy Butler doesn't need the ball all the time.
Jimmy Butler's been a train wreck everywhere he's gone. Give me a spot that Jimmy Butler hasn't been. Like, he'll play well for a year or two, and then somehow something happens and Jimmy Butler wants out, or he doesn't like something, or let's move on. Kenny, so you think Bradley Beal can help a team win? If it was Miami swapping with Jimmy Butler and Bradley Beal, is Miami any better? He won 1 playoff game. Now he has that, but
well,
whatever.
See, I have a theory about Beal. Okay, he was great in Washington, right?
Great in Washington
because he's the only one there, so he has to do all the scoring. So that just goes to show you what the difference is when you go on a team that has other players. You can't get your points, so you don't look as good. And frankly, it exposes him as to not be the player that they thought.
And I'm going to say this, Ron, and I know we're old, but you remember when they put those old newspaper clippings, you put an ad out like jobs wanted, or right? I think we may be looking for new basketball because he thinks Bradley Beal can help a team win. And I'm telling you right now that the Phoenix Suns actually are losing probably because of Bradley Beal. John Wall, most of his career. And John Wall, when healthy, was nasty. John Wall was a great player for a point there, and then his injuries just derailed him. And that's when Washington and Beal were so good. And there was a lot of talk of Beal going to Boston a year ago, and I'm glad they got Porzingis over, because I don't think Beal can win. Listen, very nice players, had a very good career. I don't think he's got that championship mentality. I don't think he makes a team better. Ron was right. I don't know. Kenny thinks you're right. Now you're right. Tell him Michael Jordan's number one. No.
Michael Jordan's the best.
So Bradley Beal, worth trading? I don't think so. I mean, everybody out there seems to think the same thing except Kenny.
I mean, they'll trade him, but what are they going to get for him?
Bag of beans.
A role player.
Which actually goes, it's a like stalk that goes up into the sky and you get, no. But that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, Even Jimmy Butler, like, I don't think Jimmy Butler is that much of an upgrade. Phoenix made the mistake. Listen, Kevin Durant was great in Golden State. And I'm going to create some controversy here. But he was great in Golden State because of Steph Curry. I don't want to hear, yes, he helped them win championships. Yes, he was a big piece of that. But you can see when he has to be the alpha, when he is the guy, Brooklyn, tanked. Phoenix now, tanked. They can't do it. He is so conceited or worried about himself that teams don't matter. And Steph and those guys, when they were in Golden State, that's why Bradley Beal going there and Devin
Golden
Booker.
State would have won the championship even without him.
Probably.
Period.
Probably. But that's what I'm saying. So to me, Beal's now, I think he got sucked into that vortex of whatever Kevin Durant does to people. And he's an average player now. Above average. I'll give him above average.
I'm going to say something I thought I would never hear myself say. Kevin Durant is a lower version of LeBron.
Wow. I don't know. LeBron does so much more. Are you talking personality-wise?
Super teams, and yes, he struck gold in Miami. Yeah, he won one of them. And then since then, it's been a disaster.
It's 1-2.
Well, no, I mean with Heat. So he made his super team with the Heat. Yeah, okay, that one worked out. And then he's failed with all of them since. Yeah, and I don't count that stupid bubble championship that you won that nobody played. Don't give me that. Oh, that was a harder championship. Get out of here. Nobody played. You had half teams with all the scrubs that were trying to make names for themselves. So
I think you've offended.
He's a lower version of that because he's trying to make super teams and he has completely fell flat on all of them. The only one he had success was when he went to join up with Golden State when they knew they were going to win a championship anyway. And they said, oh, well, why not have Kevin Durant come in? And they did. That was just the cherry on top. He's crap at team play. Crap.
Oh, I'm not saying, listen, LeBron did win in Cleveland. You're right. And he came back that big comeback and to beat the Golden State Warriors. But I think what we're trying to say is this. Sometimes those guys, like what LeBron did to try to build teams, what Kevin Durant's doing to build teams, it's not working. And it's not good for the NBA. And then these players all of a sudden get tired of losing in these situations because they should be better based on the talent they have. And it isn't changing. Bradley Beal, remember, he came from Washington. They don't win anything in Washington. And then he's like, I'm going to go to Phoenix because I got a shot now to win a championship. Guess what? It's been just as big a mess. They're 16 and 19. They're 16 and 19.
Look, it doesn't even take a season for them to realize how awful it is. It's like 30 games in, and you already know that you suck. With all those star players and how great they're supposed to be, and they can't even get out of their own way. And I'm sorry, I remember Durant playing the Celtics in the playoffs a couple of years ago, and they were a train wreck. Kevin Durant sucked. He sucked. The Celtics controlled everything he did. He couldn't put in half his shots. Couldn't do it. Clutch moments, couldn't do it because he choked because of the pressure. He can't handle it. Period. He can't handle it.
All right. So we're going to move on, but I will ask this. Is he getting dealt? Bradley Beal being moved on?
Yes.
You think so?
Of course he's going to get dealt.
The only deal I think they could do is Miami. So it might be him and a Jimmy Butler swap. Speaking of that, Jimmy Butler, it happened while we were on the air. Yes. Last week, suspended. They're like, you know what? This dude don't want to play. Well, we'll just suspend him. But kind of crazy to think about. All right, let's talk some Major League Baseball. Because
maybe they'll cut him. And then he'll be fair game.
I don't think you can in the NBA. Justin Verlander has signed with the San Francisco Giants. Do you think he's going to be a factor in their starting rotation? Can Justin Verlander be the missing piece in the Giants starting rotation, Ron?
No, and they only signed him for $15 million too.
1 year, $15 million. I told you same thing's going to happen with Scherzer if he signs. It's going to be around the same kind of deal.
Yeah, the rest of the pitchers kind of are old.
So I looked at their starting rotation. Logan Webb, 13-10 last year with a 3.47 ERA. Robbie Ray, 5 games, 3-2 with a 4.70 ERA. Kyle Harrison, 7-7 with a 4.56 ERA. And then Hayden Birdsong, they said, is probably going to be their 5th starter. He was 5-6 with a 4.75 ERA. So you're like, hey, all right, they're not that good. Well, Verlander last year, 17 starts, 5-6 with a 5.4 ERA and 74 strikeouts for Houston.
Sometimes think he's going to retire.
You know when guys hang on too long?
Retire in spring training.
Can I say this, Ron? I'm going to say this, and this, again, whatever Christmas cards, we've already lost a ton tonight. Sometimes guys hang on too long. He was dominant. Like, Justin Verlander was probably the best pitcher for a period of time where you like, holy cow, Verlander's pitching. You get into the postseason. He's going to be that your ace to shut them down. You got him three times in a 7-game series. You're done. I don't want to see this. I just feel like it's like, hey, look over there. There's going to be a giant train wreck. And I'm like, my eyes want to
literally giant.
Literally, right? Like I want to avert my eyes somewhere else. The only person.
Yeah, I could actually see him retiring spring training, Eric. It's definitely feasible. He's going to go into spring training, and I don't think he's going to be ready for it. And I think he'll retire in the spring.
Right. Draymond Green is ruining Golden State Warriors. I don't know about that either, though. Listen, the Golden State Warriors are ruining themselves when they had a shot to get rid of him and they didn't. So realistically, I don't blame him. So Verlander, not the guy. Not the guy. But hey, we'll see. I know a couple of my friends that are Giants fans. I'm sure they're excited, but he's not the same dude. It's not the same dude. I don't know. 42 years old, believe it or not, Justin Verlander. All right, Ron, let's talk some split decisions. All right, our split decision segment. Basically, we give each other 2 more likely questions, and we have to make a decision based on what we've asked. So I am first this week, Ron. I'll start you off with my first split decision. Ron, which player is more likely to lead the NBA in scoring this season? Nikolai Jokic, who's at 31.5 points per game. Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's at 31.3 points per game. Or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's at 31.3 points per game. So there's a 0.2 difference between the 3 of them.
I'm going to go with SGA.
SGA.
Yeah.
You're Jokic, though. You're a Jokic guy.
I am a Jokic fan, but I don't see SGA going under 30 points. I don't see it.
Giannis, no love for Giannis?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay. Everybody out there agree? Nikolai Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's going with SGA.
I just think a guy like Giannis, he can get these nagging injuries, with the like.
So you're going with the youth.
A tweaked knee or a tweaked groin or a sprained ankle. He's very susceptible to those things.
So you're going for the Utes.
So I go to Utes.
The Utes. All right, go the Utes. All right. What's your first split decision, Ron?
My first split decision.
One of those
is who will more likely defeat the number 2 seed. Denver Broncos or the Green Bay Packers?
Packers. To your
Who's
point, we
more
talked about
likely?
it. We talked about it. The Packers. Packers are a much better team. I think they're better qualified to beat the Eagles. Listen, the Broncos a very nice story, but again, they just didn't beat anybody that really mattered. They beat KC the last game of the year when KC basically played their high school team. They get the local kids from Kansas City, and said, "Hey, come play for us this week." So I just don't know that Denver could even stay close. So I would go with the Packers to be more likely to beat the number 2 seed. And the Eagles still that mentality. Who knows? I don't know, that coaching staff and everything that's going on. All right, Ron. My second, but also at the same time, I'd love to see the Broncos. Yeah, no, I agree. I could hear that too, Austin. That would be a story we'd probably talk about for a few weeks if the Broncos can pull that off. Which, Ron, NHL conference leader is more likely to finish in first place? So the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are 4 points ahead, the Washington Capitals, who are 5 points ahead, the Winnipeg Jets, who are 2 points ahead, or the Vegas Golden Knights, who are 6 points ahead.
I will take Vegas on those odds. I just don't think that the other three are going to win the divisions.
Really? No,
Yeah.
So you're just saying the only one out of the 4.
The only one of the 4 that I think can win the division is Vancouver.
Okay.
I mean, not Vancouver, Vegas.
Vegas. The Canucks. Always on your brain. All right. Interesting to look at. I agree with you on the Toronto. I think the teams way above, under them are still pretty good teams. Maple Leafs. Austin's going with Toronto. And we still think Washington's going to. Oh, you've got he's giving you the emoji. He hates the Leafs. Wait till Austin, please stay tuned for the next segment because I know you're a Bruins fan as well. Ron, your second split decision.
I got a splitting headache. All right, Eric. Because I did not want anything to touch hockey on this. Who is more likely to not make the playoffs?
Okay.
New York Mets or New York Yankees?
More likely not to make it.
I'd
go the Mets. I'd still go the Mets. Listen, till they prove it. At least New York's been in the postseason. The Yankees. What are the Mets
in the postseason?
The Mets. They had to climb out of whatever last year, and then they finally got there. I don't trust the Mets.
Then they added
the Mets. He goes Mets. Thank you. The Yankees going. They're going back. Don't worry about the Yanks. I like the moves they made. They'll go back to the postseason. Will they win it? No, but at least they'll go back. They're going to the prom. Nobody to dance with, Ron. Every year now. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. All right. That was our split decision segment. Always have some fun with that. But it is time to get into some NHL. Ron, I know how excited you are.
We have a different thing to go to first.
6-game losing streak for the Boston Bruins. You are a diehard Bruins fan. We are from New England. We talk a lot about the 4 New England teams. But I'd like to know, Ron, in your mind, as a Red Sox fan, I hate the Yankees, but the Mets ain't it. Yeah, agreed, Austin. I agree with you there. Ron, who should we blame for the Boston Bruins' most recent losing streak?
Okay. Now, let's start off by saying everybody is quick to point the finger at Don Sweeney. And I get it. I get it. But I don't think it's his fault. I don't think this team is his fault. Because this team was put together with a couple of additions to win the cup. And he thought he did that. And even I thought he might have done that. Now, with that being said, who is to blame? It is squarely on the shoulder of at least a half a dozen players. It is all the players. And I know
Here
they
comes
needed to
Austin.
make a deal.
Here comes Austin. I'm agreeing with Austin.
I know you guys. The thing to blame it on Don Sweeney is obvious, and I get it. I get it. He does put the team together. Now let's not forget that a couple of years ago he put that team together, and they were the best team in history. Right?
Agreed.
He put that
You're
team
right.
together.
Absolutely.
Now, there are only a couple of differences between that team and this team. Think about that. They lost Bergeron and they lost Krejci, right? Then last year happened. Everybody counted them out. They still were they were 1 point away from the best team. 1 point away being the best team. They still failed in the playoffs, right? Yes, I get it. So what did I complain about the playoffs? They were soft, right? They didn't have any toughness. They were bullied.
Yep.
So what did they do? They went out and got a center iceman, a legitimate center, and they went and got Zadorov for that bullying purpose, right? And then they traded, of course, Olmark, and they got Corpusalo, and they got I can't even think of his name now, but he's a tough guy, and he's been playing really well, and he has done his part. He has stopped the bullying. Zadorov was paid very well for it. And this is the only mistake that I see Don Sweeney making, and that is not re-signing DeBrusk and getting Zadorov with that money. And I know why he did it. He needed it for some toughness, and I get why. That's the only mistake, and you can only look at it now after the fact.
Hold on, though, Ron. Let me ask you this question. You just said it in the very first segment. Who do you blame for the Patriots' losses?
The lack of talent.
Elliot Wolf.
Right.
Right? So who allows these players to basically dictate what's happening with the Boston Bruins?
Yeah, see, this isn't a lack of talent thing with the Bruins.
But it is in one aspect of this way. That talent on that team thinks they're better than any coach because they continuously fire their coaches instead of saying, no, we're going to trade you.
Right.
And make that change.
Right.
Who makes the trades, Ron? Who
and
makes the trades?
That.
Who makes the trades?
Yes, I get that. It's Don Sweeney.
Don Sweeney is allowing this team.
One.
Don Sweeney is allowing this team to continue to flounder because he'd rather put the players first and not make them understand that, listen, there's a chain of command to this.
Though. There is a point, Eric. Look, this team is way underperforming. And when you look at the names, Pasternak right up at the top of that list. Right at the top of that list. He has been dreadful. Yes, he has 17 goals. Great. But how many turnovers has he made? He has cost the Bruins many more losses than anyone. Because he keeps trying to go in the offensive zone, trying to cut through three guys like he did last night. A triangle, and they were all all-star players when he's trying to go through them. And coughs it up, it goes the other way, and they score. You can't do that. He's a big part of why they've been bad.
You're doing the same thing, though.
So he's been a big part of that.
You've got to blame the people that are actually controlling.
I get it. I think Don Sweeney needs to make a trade, and he needed to make a trade back when they fired Monty. It hasn't happened yet. And I've been clamoring for one. Okay, so you take Pasternak the way he's been playing, and it's been horrible. Throw on top of that Charlie Coyle underachieving. Throw on top of that Trent Frederick underachieving, like he's been horrible this year. And I like Trent Frederick, but he needs to go. On top of that, your center that you paid all that money for, way underachieving. Elias Lindholm is not playing well at all. He's been terrible. Not playing up to his salary.
I agree. Me and Austin as CNI.
I get it. I watch this team all the time. Believe me, I get it. I get it. Also, Zadorov has been a bust. He has sucked. He has sucked so bad, he can't get out of his own way. He panics. He makes bad decisions. He's just been awful. He's been awful. And then on top of all of this, the man right there, Charlie McAvoy, he's been an abomination this year of constant turnovers, and it's been brutal. And he's supposed to be their top defenseman. He's been horrible, making mistakes left and right. And when you get all of those players doing things that are uncharacteristic of these players, it's a problem. And one of those players has to go. If not more than one.
We talk about we were talking about other teams, like they get to the promised land, they get to the postseason, and a lot of teams they're happy with that. A lot of organizations in all sports, right? Oh, at least we make the playoffs, consistently. How long have you been a Boston Bruins fan, Ron?
A long time.
Long time.
Forever.
The Boston Bruins and their ownership said, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna put two guys in our front office that our fans adore. Don Sweeney, Cam Neely.
Yeah. Oh, I get it.
And none of these Boston Bruin fans that are true fans like you, who have been watching these guys, followed their career. You told me Cam doesn't get hurt. Probably one of the best to ever do it, right? Injuries, right? You see the stars in your eyes, and it's a love fest.
I don't look at it that way.
Don Sweeney needs to go. And Don Sweeney needs to go because you're right. Guys are underperforming. So instead of putting pedal to the metal and saying, I need to make some moves, I'm just going to sit back, fire coaches, let the coaches make all these line changes because that's going to make a difference. Nothing's changing. Yeah. Montgomery to Sacco, nothing's changed.
No.
The same players who were running the organization when Montgomery was here and saying that we're bigger than you are doing the same thing now to Sacco. That's why you're losing 6 games in a row. The way you change it is Don Sweeney needs to say, sorry, Charlie. Not literally Charlie McAvoy, but sorry, Charlie, right? You're out of here. And he's allowing this. He's allowing this because at the end of the day, he's the only guy that could really make, to your point, you said it, make a trade and make it happen.
I totally get that. The problem is, what do you change and still, fit things in the cap and stuff? There's a lot that has to
NHL is tough, but I'm just saying,
I know that. Believe me, I know that.
At some point, you got to take your bumps, and maybe you get a lesser player.
What they need to do, Eric, what they need to do, and you need to ship Frederick and probably Carlo out. Carlo is going to be the one that goes because he's the salary guy that works. That's what you have to do. And it's going to be a painful thing because now you're stuck with Zadorov. If they can trade Zadorov, they should do it because he's the problem. He's the problem. They didn't need to go get a defenseman. They should have kept DeBrusk.
We could do this all night. I will ask you this question, Ron. If they don't make another move the rest of the season, and they make the postseason, Don Sweeney get fired?
Yes.
I don't know if they will. I think the Boston Bruins need him. They need him in camp.
No.
For fans like you.
No.
It's all right, Ron. Because you're going back to the players. You're blaming the players. You're blaming the players.
Anything you want. I've studied the actual salary cap and all this other stuff and who they can trade him for.
Anything can happen.
It's not going to work.
What I'm saying to you is this. I don't care if they got nothing. I don't care if they got a guy that's completely
You
sucks.
can't get nothing. You can't get nothing because then he gets criticized for that too. And that's the
At
whole
this
thing.
point, you need to change the culture. You need to change the attitude.
No, you don't
and you
change the
can't do that.
culture.
You
You
can't do
can't
that.
change the culture. You can't change the culture.
It hasn't won. What is it won? What's their culture
You don't
won?
get it. You don't get it. I can't make you understand if you're
14
so
years, Ron.
insistent on one thing.
14
That's the
years.
problem.
14 years.
14 years.
Right? Was it 11 they won the last one?
Yeah.
What's their culture doing for them then?
It makes the players, a cohesive team. Without culture, it runs wild, right?
Okay.
No, look, I mean, you can say anything you want to say, but this team is not that far off, and you have to walk a fine line. Nobody is gonna be in there and not get criticism, right? And Sweeney knows this, and he's trying to figure out how to trade somebody when they have to trade a second piece. You can't just trade Trent Frederick. You can't just trade,
I'm not saying
one guy. And I'm just telling you
I get
that
the
it
cap
doesn't
piece.
work like that in
I
the
get
NHL.
it with the NHL. I get it. I'm not saying that.
So
I don't feel like
just
he's
say, "Oh, you got to make a trade." And
no.
you do
I'm
it.
going to say I don't feel like he would, even if there's something on the table.
He will. He will.
Okay.
And he'll do it.
All right.
Because what they need to do, what I would do in this next game tomorrow, first of all, I would bench Beecher, Kepke, and Trent Frederick and bring up the 3 kids from Providence. And the 3 kids are Lizelle, Patra, and the Merkulov. Put those guys, one on each of the top 3 lines. Let them get an actual shot at scoring. Because we know Patra can do it. He was there last year. He performed very well. But they have all these guys that you can't send down. And that's a big problem too. You got guys that are taking up dead weight on the team.
Okay.
They're handcuffed. I'm telling you, they're handcuffed.
Okay. Who put them in that position? All right. And we're moving on. Great
The
Bruins
playoffs.
talk, though.
Trying to win it.
Austin, I know you're a Bruins fan, man. You've been chiming in. KG changed the culture for the Celtics. Bruins need to. There you go. Right? Sometimes it's getting that player, figuring that out. Who's that guy?
Well, they tried to do that last year with Maroon. They tried last year. They got Maroon, and he was nothing.
The Burns.
He did nothing.
The Burns need to. We're not talking about the Bruins. The Burns. Oh.
It's so frustrating, and looking at it, and I know the issues. It's like I'm looking at how do you make a trade? You can't go get Chris Kreider. It's not going to happen because what do you have to offer? You only have Trent Frederick and Carlo to offer for them, and they're not going to take that. They're going to go to Vancouver and they're going to get a better player like Peterson for Kreider. That's what's going to end up happening. So you can't.
But that's what I'm saying. You may have to take a bad contract, but it's like a 1-year deal for a lesser player to at least start to move on from some of this and not continue.
The only option is you got to give a player away. That's the only option.
But they may have to do that, and I don't feel like
because
your mentality
get criticized for that as well.
No, but I'm saying your mentality. In what happens is that's what he's saying. We could still make the postseason. We're still in it. And that's what continues to happen every year.
Yeah, because there are a team that are supposed to be there.
But again, at some point, you might have to say, "I got to
underachieving players." That happens.
When you built a better team, we could make those key trades. Oh, all right. Let's move on, Ron. We're going to talk some pick and roll.
See, it's a team that is a very good team. How old are you, Austin? It's got to be in his 20s. It's got to be in his 20s.
Our pick and roll segment tonight. There's 6 head coaching jobs open in the NFL, Ron. We are going to rank those 6 based on what we think is the most desirable or intriguing job to the worst job, to the worst to the best job. And those teams are the Chicago Bears, the New England Patriots, the New York Jets, Jacksonville Jaguars, New Orleans Saints, and Las Vegas Raiders. I am first, so I will start our rankings off. At number 6 for me, believe it or not, the Las Vegas Raiders. Again, no quarterback. They're going to go into this situation with no quarterback, no top 5 draft pick.
Wait, what?
They have no
The
top 5.
Raiders?
They have no top 5 draft pick.
Aren't they number 2?
No.
Who's number 2?
The Giants, aren't they?
Oh, okay.
And then the division, you got Patrick Mahomes, right? Kansas City's won it. It makes the playoffs every year. The Los Angeles Chargers have made the playoffs, and the Denver Broncos. So it's an uphill battle in that division. And I think they're putting too much faith on Tom Brady can just turn things around. Like, yes, we know he was the greatest quarterback of all time. Now we're going to say he's the greatest owner of all time too, and he's going to figure everything out. I don't know. They do have some money to spend in free agency, so that may help make it a little more desirable, but I put them at 6. At 5 for me, I had the New Orleans Saints. This is a complete rebuild. Derek Carr, who knows that situation? Is he even going to be able to come back? His injuries. They are way over the salary cap. I think I heard like $65 million or so.
63 million.
Right? So they're going to have to probably get rid of some talent. So you're talking about really start, right? And then they're 9th. So they got a top 10 pick, but at 9, I mean, are you going to be able to get that impact player that can really start to turn that organization around? So they're number 5 for me. At 4, probably the biggest mess when it comes to ownership, the New York Jets and Woody Johnson and what he's been doing to that organization for years now. Again, quarterback situation is going to be a question mark. Aaron Rodgers probably not coming back. Not a bad thing, but again, who's leading that team? The one positive is there's still a lot of talent on that team and a lot of solid players that you could build around, but you need the right coach and you need ownership to stay away from it. And I don't know if that'll happen in New York, so I put them at number 4. At 3 for me, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Listen, Trevor Lawrence isn't horrible. I don't think he's great, but I don't think he's horrible. I think he's a good quarterback. You surround him with the right kind of coach. We saw that the first year when Doug Peterson came over. Get him the right coach. They have a lot of talent on offense. One of the best wide receivers, now the rookie wide receiver. They really only need to work on the defensive side of the ball. So if you get a defensive-minded coach with a good offensive coordinator, Jacksonville could be right back into the postseason. Again, that division's not the greatest. So, again, you'd have a quick turnaround to be back into the postseason. At 2, I went Chicago. So we talk about a team with talent. I think they have even more talent. And again, $83 million to spend in free agency. So they're going to still be able to add talent to that team. I think you get the right offensive coordinator with Caleb Williams, and they could be all right. Get an offensive line, give this kid some time, and that's a very good job. The Chicago Bears, even though they're in a tough division, I think they could win 9 games and be relevant. But at number 1, Ron, I went the New England Patriots, not because I'm a homer. I agree with you. I see a lot of potential in a homer.
Oh, homer. Okay.
My Rhode Island accent came out for a bit. Homer. I'm not a homer. But I will say Drake May, I like what I've seen from Drake May. Right offensive coordinator, right offensive strategy, $133 million to spend in free agency. Spend it well. Offensive line, get a wide receiver, do some things to help this kid have some talent around him. I could see a quick turnaround. I actually like the number 4 pick. I didn't at first. Sunday, I hated the fact that they lost the number 1 pick. The more I looked at it, Ron, they can't screw this up now. I love what the Los Angeles Chargers did last year at 6. They got Joe Alt, a left tackle, and now their line is solidified for the next 10 years to protect Justin Herbert. At number 4, get me the best left tackle you can possibly get, and I'd be okay with that. Because at number 1, I don't want a left tackle. And at number 1, I don't know if Travis Hunter is the answer to be the best wide receiver. So I feel like they would have screwed that up. So at 4, I love that move. But again, the most desirable job to me would be New England because of Drake May and $133 million to play with. And that's my pick and roll.
All right. Number 6, I have the Jets. They got the number 6 pick, which is great. They probably don't have a quarterback, which is not a great place to pick. So they're gonna have to give up something to get something, most likely. I do like the team. Like the team in place is pretty good, but they are 20th in cap space, so they're not going to have a lot of money to spend. So depending on what happens with Aaron Rodgers, I mean, if you keep him, it doesn't really change anything. And they're not going to be able to change anything with that. So, and then you throw the circus of an ownership as it is. And I think that is the least desirable job to want, is to work for that organization. With that being said, number 5 pretty much follows suit with that organization, and that is the Las Vegas Raiders at number 5. I don't care that they have some cap space or not. Doesn't matter. Nothing's going to change. It just doesn't change.
And that's what I'm saying.
The same guy calling the shots is calling the shots.
Ron, can I say this? Ron, Tom Brady, 5% ownership? And all I keep hearing, Tom Brady's going to turn this thing around. Tom Brady don't have a say.
No say.
Whatever.
No say.
Like at the end of the day, if I'm Mark Davis, I'm going to make the final call on everything I do.
It's still the same guy making all the decisions.
So I agree with you there.
Why would anything change?
Listen, they're one of the bottom 2. Agreed. I agree with that.
So, number 4, I have New Orleans. I mean, first of all, that cap situation is a mess for them. $63 million. I don't care if they have Carr. After that, they're not going to have them. They're going to get rid of all the players that are getting paid, and they're going to start from scratch again. And they only have the 9th pick, so you're not getting your franchise quarterback there, so that means you would probably have to trade up and hope to trade one of those salaries with it. And that ain't going to happen either. So I think they're going to be stuck right where they are, and there's not going to be much of an option for them. So I don't think that's going to be very attractive. From there, it gets a little better. Jacksonville, like you said.
So hold on. Let me read Danny's real quick. He had Bears, Patriots, Jets, Jaguars, Raiders, Saints. So he agrees with the Raiders piece towards the bottom. Bears, Patriots, he has at the top. We haven't gotten to your top. I love this comment by Kenny, though. And I'm sorry to cut you off, Ron. But will Brady be the next Michael Jordan in the NBA? Think about what Jordan, we said it, the greatest, if not one of the greatest players of all time. He couldn't do it as an owner, and he had like full reins.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the say like Jordan had.
And that's what I'm saying. And Jordan couldn't do it. Right? Yeah. As great as Jordan was, Jordan was great on the court. Tom Brady was great on the field. We don't know behind the scenes what he's able to evaluate and see, and like we don't know my piece. But anyway, I am so sorry, but I love that comment by Kenny, and I thought that was a great point to bring up.
No, it is a good point because people are thinking that, but what does he have to do with any of that, really? So getting back, the Jacksonville Jaguars, I have at number 3.
Okay.
They have, they're number 17 on cap space, but they have room to play. They have some players that they can cut that really don't matter. And, what are they picking?
Jaguars. I'll get that for you. It is in the top. Yeah. I think that. Oh, yeah, they're definitely. Yeah, they're definitely in the top 10.
Are they picking first?
No. That's
who's got the number 1 pick? I thought they had number 1 pick.
No, Tennessee 1, Cleveland 2, Giants 3, Patriots 4, Jacksonville 5.
Okay, so they got 5th pick. So they are in a position to do something, right? So they can either keep Lawrence or they can trade Lawrence,
They won't
maybe
trade
possibly move up. You never know.
I
You
could see
never
them
know.
go.
I doubt it,
But to your point, at number 5, you're going to get the best defensive player because all those other 4 teams are
right.
going offense.
So you can go defense with that, which they really need. Hey, you can always use another offensive lineman, right? So you got to protect them. And then number 2, I have Chicago Bears at number 2. I like the situation they have. They have a quarterback. I think that he's going to be okay. I mean, look, coaching let them down a lot,
Mhm.
and so did that offensive line. So they're 7th in cap space, so they got plenty of cap space there. And you got a decent pick that you can probably get a lineman there as well, because they definitely need an offensive line to help them. I mean, they need a few things, but I think you need to protect this kid because he had none.
Agreed.
And I thought the Patriots line was bad. Theirs might have been worse.
Yeah, what did
So it
Pat
was
had like 9
borderline.
sacks in that game.
Oh,
I
I
think
felt bad for the poor kid.
that's the only reason why the Patriots had double-digit sacks for the year because of that one game.
Yeah, I know. So, but number 1, the best situation, I think it has to be because you've got a quarterback, you have a ton of money to spend, a ton of money, and you still have a number 4 pick, so you can shore up the problems. And what you might also have is a second quarterback that might be desirable for some people after
Exactly.
that
Trade
last
bait.
game.
Yeah, listen.
You
he
could
showed
trade
them.
him for a top pick. Oh my God, you could have a field day.
Yeah, no, listen, a lot of options for New England. I agree with you. New England number 1. Everything was the same other than the 6 through 4. We kind of flip-flopped a little bit.
Yeah, they were
But
just different orders. That's why I was looking. I was like,
but it's
that's pretty
interesting. Even
interesting.
Danny agreed, right? Patriots, Bears are probably the 2 most desirable jobs out
Yeah.
there. But yeah, and I loved Kenny's comment about, listen, everybody's telling me about Brady's going to be the best, because he's okay. I don't even
No,
think he's the best
that's
commentator.
little
He's not
sad.
very good commentating either. So that goes to prove, like, what you do on the field doesn't always translate well somewhere else.
Great players usually never translate to great coaches or owners or whatever.
Fans like Don Sweet. What? Anyway, I'm just playing with you. I'm just
They
playing
were
with you.
not great players. Well,
I know. I'm kidding with
Sweeney
you.
wasn't a great player.
I'm just kidding with you. My
Yeah.
goodness, you're very sensitive
I don't
about these
care.
Bruins. Okay, calm down. It's all right, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, let's bring up that prediction chart because we are moving on to some predictions here. Danny chimed in last week, 4-2, Danny. So if you're on, let's see how you do this week. Can you beat us? We tied, Ron, 6-3.
Yep.
What a way to start the 2025 prediction chart. All of you that are out there, please give us your picks as we are discussing which games, and then let us know who you pick so we can add your name to that chart and fill it up. We had that thing full by 2024, so love to see that again. So, Ron, I am first this week. I will start us off, and we are going with our first NBA matchup, and that's on the 12th. The Milwaukee Bucks at the New York Knicks. I like the Knicks here. I like the Knicks and what they've done and how they've kind of changed that mentality. They made our top 5 in the Sports Unfolded NBA rankings.
Yes.
And they're playing very well. The Bucks a little too inconsistent for me, so I went New York at home.
Yeah, I did as well too. I went New York at home. Until Milwaukee really stops fluctuating. If they go 6-4 the rest of the way, that's fine and dandy. But until they can do that, I just don't have any faith that they're going to get anything consistent. So I went with New York Knicks as well.
All right, Kenny went Knicks. Danny, you still out there? Who you picking? Austin, if you're still out there, you got to pick. Milwaukee Bucks at the New York Knicks. That's Sunday. Who do you have?
Yeah, come on, Danny, Austin, and all the others that are watching.
All right, Ron. Let's go with our second game on the 16th. it's a rematch. This game happened this past week. The Cleveland Cavaliers at the Oklahoma City Thunder, the two best teams, the East and West. Who do you have?
Yeah, I'm going to go OKC here. They're going to be home, and I think that might make a little bit of a difference. So I'm going to go OKC at home.
Yeah, I went OKC as well. Listen, a little revenge game. Cleveland came in and beat them the last time they met up. So I feel like OKC wants to prove something.
Yes.
And they're at home, so I went with OKC as well. Kenny, you have a pick?
Cleveland needs a loss, to be honest with you.
They're rolling, man. 4 losses all year. It's kind of crazy.
Think he can break the record?
Listen, you get to 5 by the half. You could realistically, you only lose 5 more. You got to just stay even. OKC, Mitchell hurt out for 3 games. Ooh, a little inside information there. I'll take that. We went OKC. We're good.
Donovan Mitchell's out.
Yeah. All right. NHL action, Ron, on the 10th. That's tonight. The Los Angeles Kings at the Winnipeg Jets. I went Winnipeg here.
Yeah, that's a tough one. LA's been playing great too. But I'm going to go Winnipeg at home.
Danny says you remind him of George Costanza.
Costanza.
All right. So Ron having a few technical difficulties. Hold on though. We got Kenny went Kings. All right. He went Winnipeg there, did he not? Yes, he did. All right. So if you have a moment, check out the Sports Unfolded sports poll page on Facebook to cast your votes for our Hall of Fame nominees. That voting is still going on for the month of January. So tune into that as well so you can cast your votes. Also, listen to us on all your audio platforms. If you don't have time to watch, you can listen to us as well. Eric, whenever you argue with Ron, reminds me. I could see it. Danny, I could see it. He's a little too animated for me because, like, I got it. He knows that we were right about the Don Sweeney thing, and he got upset.
No, you weren't.
I see it. That's why the Costanza came out.
You were not right.
It's all right, though. It's all right. You went Winnipeg there, correct, Ron?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Also in the NHL. All right. Danny's going. Oh, boy. Now I got to go backwards. Danny went Bucks. He's got the Cleveland Cavaliers at the OKC Thunder. You got a pick for that one, Danny? Maybe not. All right, let's go with this NHL on the 14th, Ron. The Florida Panthers at the New Jersey Devils.
I'm going to go New Jersey.
All right. I went Florida here. OKC, the Cleveland Cavaliers at Oklahoma City Thunder is the game there, Danny. I went Florida here. I don't know why. He went Cleveland, Danny. Okay. Kenny's going Panthers. All right. Next 6 are all NFL playoff games. This is where it becomes interesting. This is where boys to men. And I'm not talking about the group. I love boys to men, by the way. Anyway, on the 11th, Ron, so tomorrow, the Los Angeles Chargers at the Houston Texans. I'm going Chargers here.
I did too.
Jim Harbaugh is earning his money. And he went Kings. You went Chargers. I'm trying to double do 2 once. But that should be a fun game. And
Yeah,
Houston
I
just
went
hasn't
Chargers.
impressed.
I just think they're going to be. I think they're the better team.
And I like the fact you talked about it, Dobbins and that run game and what they're going to be able to do. I think they keep them off the field. Texans, Kenny went
Yeah, I do.
Texans. I'm liking our pick more now. Kenny, we love you, Kenny. We love you, buddy. We do. All right. Also, all right. I've reached 100 messages today with, oh, look at us. 100 messages on Restream. Yay. We got a little trophy. All right. Also tomorrow, Ron, Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, this is a tough one because I think Baltimore is a better team, but now you just made them one-dimensional without Flowers. I'm going to go Pittsburgh.
Wow.
I'm going Pittsburgh.
Wow. I went Ravens here. A heavy dose of Derrick Henry, Lamar's legs. I think they run all over him.
It's got to be TJ Watt.
Philly's back again. Let's go, Kenny. Doing a little East Coast swing. Kenny went Ravens. Oh, boy. All right. He's got to get some right.
Now?
He gets some right here and there. He gets some right, Kenny. What about the Denver? So, what's today? So Sunday, Denver Broncos at the Buffalo Bills, Ron.
Not close. Buffalo.
I'm going Buffalo. So there's no way that I was going to, right? I don't think anybody picks Denver unless you're a Denver fan. And that's just because you're hopeful.
Danny, you need to catch up a little.
This is Buffalo.
I know he put all his picks before.
Kings.
But
I already put you down for Kings.
you need the Chargers, Texans, Steelers, Ravens, Denver, and Buffalo.
Kenny went Buffalo. See, I'm surprised. Kenny's usually that underdog. He loves the underdogs. He would go Denver. He didn't do it. All right. Cleveland. I don't know.
He already did that one.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Did that one. Danny, you're rehashing the same one. You got to do the NFL, buddy.
Just give us your NFL picks for the 6 games. Put them up quick, and I'll just write your name. All right. Green Bay Packers at the Philadelphia Eagles. It's my pick.
I don't even know.
I'll go.
I believe it's mine. It's mine.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Wow. This is tough, but I'm going to go with Philadelphia just because of Barkley.
I did the same. Philly at home, that defense, injury concerns in Green Bay, right? No Watson. Love, we talked about. So Kenny went Eagles as well. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Eagles get this one. All right. Yeah. This is going to be a fun game as well on Sunday. The Washington Commanders at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know you believe in Baker a little more than I believe in Baker. So I went with Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. All right. Texans for Danny.
Yeah, I went Tampa Bay. I should probably have my head examined, but but I'm going to have
see it. Yeah. Again, rookie quarterback in the postseason. Yeah, I get it. I don't know. I don't know. Baker scares me. Ravens,
that defense for Tampa Bay came up big last game, so I'm going to go with the fact that defense can come through.
Kenny's going Commanders. Kenny, stop picking my teams.
All right, so Danny went with Texans.
I have those. Yeah, Texans and
Ravens. Yeah. Commanders. Stop it, George.
He loves you. You're Costanza. One more game, Ron. NFL. The Minnesota Vikings at the Los Angeles Rams.
I'm going Minnesota. Even though that LA can rally around their situation, I just think it's going to be too stressful, and Minnesota is going to take advantage of that.
Danny went Bills. End of the road. Great song, Kenny. Great song, End of the Road.
The
I'm not going to sing the other one too, that big song, because it just, I don't want you guys to get all excited over that. Kenny's going Vikings as well. Danny, you already picked the Bills, buddy. Green Bay, Packers, Eagles, Commanders, Bucks, Vikings, Rams. Those are the three you're missing. All right, Ron. Before we get into our final thoughts, yeah, that's a great song. Mariah Carey, One Sweet Day. Let us talk about those Hall of Fames. We'll bring that up real quick, Ron. Look at our show running. Yeah, I could get them off your comments, Danny. So if you want to cast your votes, go to the Sports Unfolded Sports Poll page on Facebook right now for the NHL and elect one of these nominees into the NHL Sports Unfolded Hall of Fame. Guy Lafleur, Danny Gare, right? Phil Esposito, Bill Barber, and Reggie Leach. So that's our NHL Sports Poll, Sports Unfolded Sports Poll on Facebook. And also for the Olympics, Irene Woost, Lindsey Vaughn, Ding Ning, Shelly Ann Fraser-Price, and Marta. So, cast your votes, help elect one of them into the Sports Unfolded Sports Hall of Fame. There is all of our nominees. On the right-hand side are all our inductees, and the former nominees on the left-hand side. So help get some more of those athletes into the Sports Unfolded Hall of Fame.
Yeah, once those athletes on the left, if they come back into play, if they get 0 votes, they are gone for good.
Gone for good. And right now, Kobe Bryant, gone for good. Yeah, boy.
No, not yet.
No, the next one. Yes. So the next time he's eligible. So Danny, the only game you're missing out, Vikings, Rams. Ron, it is final thoughts time. Oh no, I apologize. It is time to tell all the wonderful people out there, if they would like to become a sponsor of Sports Unfolded, how they can do that.
Absolutely. So if you become a sponsor for Sports Unfolded, your ad will be here. We will read the ad. So not only will people see it, but it will be heard on the audio version for Spotify, Amazon, Red Circle, and many more. So send us an email at ribroadcasting.media@gmail.com, and we can send you out the media kit, and it can explain everything. And don't forget, it also includes when we go on WDJY in Dallas, Georgia. So that will be heard there. And of course, it will also be heard on 990 WBOB.com in Providence.
Yes.
So there are lots of factors. You get over 10,000 eyes and ears.
Without
I mean,
a
it's a great way, because it costs less than going to your local coffee shop and getting a large hot tea.
Oh, you're mixing it up tonight.
I'm mixing it up, right? And a Boston cream donut.
Eclair. The eclairs.
Oh, even better, eclair.
Okay.
Costs less than
all right.
that.
So let's get a sponsor, get your name right above my beautiful mug right there. That'd be wonderful. We'd love to get you and your business growing as well. So really good opportunity there. Like, share, follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, MeWe. We are on all of those, TikTok as well, at RI Broadcasting, at Sports Unfolded, the old X there. Don't forget about X and all those things. I don't know. So, Ron, as we get into our final thoughts don't necessarily have to be about anything sports related.
I had a feeling you're going to take mine.
Anything that's going on in the world today. I'm sure we're both going to have the same sentiment about the California wildfires and the devastation that has caused. I will say this. I did hear, first of all, the most ignorant thing I heard on the radio today is that there's actually people out there saying that these these people were rich or famous, so it really shouldn't matter. That's the most ignorant thing I have ever heard in my life. So I would just say that I am shocked
What, do you
that
have a
any
spider
I
down there or
do. I
something?
can't find him though. He disappeared. Anyway, hopefully he's gone. I will say this, that if you it literally was a spider, just came out of nowhere. If you feel that mentality, I mean, what happened to humanity? Like these people lost their homes and everything they've worked for. There's valuables, things in there. Listen, we don't like the Lakers. JJ Redick lost his home. I feel bad for JJ Redick. Like that's just devastating for him, his family. And I wish them all well. Danny, thank you for sharing that you're in those areas. We do wish you're safe and hopefully continue to stay that way, because again, these things continue to spread and there's who knows what else that possibly could happen. So our thoughts, prayers are with them. But that was my final thought, Ron. I'm sorry if I stole yours.
Yeah, no, that was exactly what I was going to do. And I mean, I saw a lot of the video today from different areas. There are actually 3 different fires going and all around LA. And I fear for the city itself. Because all it takes is that wind to keep blowing, and it is blowing hard out there. And it's taking all the embers and just sailing through the air, and it's just jumping on all different kinds of things. I mean, even like the palm trees and stuff like that are out there, and it's just devastating. The video I saw was just appalling, and it is a big deal with LA, because I mean, this is something that can really get much worse. And I do not want to lose a whole city, because that's just devastating. It's devastating. And all the things that are part of that area means a lot. I mean, when you're talking even just a Hollywood sign, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like much. It's not a big deal, right? But it is. It's part of this country. And, so there is some places that we've lost that will never get back again. And there's people that have been lost, and those families are suffering.
Yes.
And now you throw the amount of homes that have been lost. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It's still a home. It's still a home. And before this is all over, it's going to affect a lot more people in areas that aren't rich. And every life is meaningful. So, so just think about the seriousness of this with all these fires all over the place. I don't know. It's
sad
for somebody to be insensitive about it is crazy.
Yeah, just the world's changing, Ron. But you know what? We're still gonna stay true to who we are, right? So, yeah, I am. I don't know where he went.
Probably in your pant leg.
It's freaking me out. No, I got shorts on, so yeah. So I will say this, Ron. I want to thank you for a wonderful night tonight. Thank you for taking your time. Danny, Kenny, Austin, you guys were amazing tonight as well. Thank you for joining. Again, if this is something you're listening to on our audio platforms or on the radio, join us every Friday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time live, so you can join in and get your name on the chat and all these other things that we're doing. Ron, I get to do it all over again with you next Friday, so I look forward to it. Friday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Rhode Island Broadcasting and Sports Unfolded. And all we ever ask for every single show is that we get peace on earth.
Have a great day. Oh, great night, everybody. Wow. Great night.